So today we're working on the fenders and the doors. I patched the bottom of the fender, got that ready for slime now. There's a dent in the front of the fender, I fixed that. There's a couple dents on the very top of it, but I'm gonna just focus on this part. On this part, get that in primer, and then I can put it on the car and do the top of the fender a lot easier on the car. The body shell is ready for me to just block with 180. I'm going to block the whole car, these spots included. I like leaving little notes for myself too, like that I need to sand this with 180. Like that needed to get sanded with 180. Like this door, I've blocked it and found a bunch of dings in it. So I fixed the big ones that I could feel with my hands. And then I blocked the whole door and found some more little ones. So along the bottom here, there's a couple dingers that now that it's all 180'd, it's all an even texture and it's flat. You can kind of feel them a little better too. But so mud is just slang for Bondo. So a couple of these spots are a little too big for slime. They're just a little too deep. So, and then the mud that we use, I just use Evercoat lightweight. There's the number. And then by slime, I don't think this is exactly the one that I used. No, this is something different. He got this for free because they screwed up his order and accidentally sent this to him and just told him he could keep it. But I think the number I normally use is 100, and I think it's 419. It's a metal glaze. So I've never used this one before, so we'll see how it goes. It just mixes like Bondo. It's got its own little tube of activator. And it's just really thin. You put it on, and the idea is to fill in. This door actually probably doesn't really even need slime. Well, like some of these tiny little pinholes that you get in the mud that primer won't quite fill. So we have the back. This was all dented and caved in, and this line kind of went like this. So we're not really too worried about from, I don't know, probably from my thumb down because it all gets covered. So, I mean, it's gonna have, I'm not worried about any of that. But the big thing was trying to get this body line nice and straight. And it came out pretty good. So, especially once I get a coat of primer on it. It's still got to get slimed. So, I'm hoping tomorrow be shooting primer. We'll see. Fingers crossed. At least on some of this stuff. Okay, so I got that slime. I got this stuff. I got the door slimed. I went over it with my 8-inch mud hog with 80 grit, knocked it down, and then I'm blocking it out with 120, and then I'll block it again with 180, and then it'll be ready for primer. On the bottom of the door, this curve, I just had the block in my hand. What's over here? So I got that slimed, this is slimed. So the idea is I'm gonna try to get all of this primed. Probably not today, but maybe tomorrow. Today's Friday, so we're trying to get as far as we can. But doing these curves, this little bit of a curve on the bottom of the door, a lot of guys are worried about hitting it with too aggressive of sandpaper. And the more coarse your sandpaper is, the straighter you'll get it. If you have, so like you can't really see these that well. There was a couple tiny low spots, so I slimed over it. And some guys will say, well, that's always gonna be a high spot. Well, if you sand it with, like, if I hit it once with 80 grit, and then I cut it down to 120 and then 180, it'll be fine. If I just sanded this with 180 or 120, then it would always be high. The easiest way to explain it is imagine this is the door, right? Except imagine that's a straight line, or we'll pretend that's a straight line. And actually you can see here it'd be like a little low spot. So if you mud it up, right, exaggerated, if you hit it with like 36 grit, then it's going to be cutting it fast, right? If you sand it with finer grit, then you're only going to be rounding it off. You're taking off so little here, and then you're taking off just as much on each side of it, you know, because you're imagining if you're blocking it, if you use 36 grit, then it just and you're done, and then you step it down to like 80 grit. You know, you don't sand it all the way down with the 36 or all the way down with the 80. You sand it down to like 90%, and then the next grit down to 90%, and then the final grit. So I hope that makes sense for you guys. And oftentimes guys think that they have a low spot, like you'll run your hand over it and you think you got a low spot right here. In actuality, this spot is just high, making it feel like this is low. So a lot of the time, guys, I'll get a job that somebody had already started and it'll be really wavy and you can't really tell what's high and what's low. I will just reblock the whole thing with 36 grit, and that right there will flatten the panel out. And then I'll go down to 80, and that's the easiest way. If you guys can't feel, if you guys are running your hands across and you can't quite feel, or you can't tell if it's high or low, then, I mean, you don't have to go to 36 grit, but whatever grit you're using, go to a coarser grit and then reblock that area, and then you'll know. And when you're blocking these, so like when I'm blocking this spot, I'm not going to be blocking like this because I'll be sanding around it. So when I block it, I'll actually be blocking it like this, okay, until I get it mostly knocked down, and then I'll step down to a finer grit, and then I'll block it like that. Does that make sense, guys? So, and if you guys have any questions about any of this, or if I'm over explaining this, or if it's just not making sense, then leave a comment and I'll try to answer it. And I don't know, if you guys have questions on this stuff, I can just make a video about it too if there's a lot of the same questions. So here it is in primer. Unfortunately, I was kind of in the zone and whatever, didn't think or forgot to record me priming it. So I'm sorry guys. But anyways, here's the car after it was primed. Until next time, take care guys.